Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is a Roaming Prepper channel. I'm your host, Pete. For those of you who have not been with me before, thanks for joining me. Uh, don't forget to like or at least comment if you don't like my comment. So, what I'm saying, you could dislike, that's fine too. Um, and I normally try to premiere my videos. If I can't do them live, sometimes I miss my own premiere happens. So again, if you have any questions or you want more information, feel free to comment below the video or reach out at the roaming prepper at gmail.com. In any case, this is kind of an informal video. Excuse me. I want to share something I've learned. I guess I knew before, but I've learned again. So I'll be right back and let me kind of share with you what my thoughts are about this new thing I kind of learned. I'll be right back. All right. Well, once again, thank you for joining me again. And again, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what I'm talking about. If you don't, that's fine too. I'm all good with that. In any case, what did I learn? Well, for those of you who follow me a little more closely, you probably know I'm in the process of getting my FAA pilot's license, and I started learning about aviation maps, weather maps, not just like, oh, look at the Weather Channel, like understanding the weather patterns, right? Because this obviously affects whether you're in a helicopter or flying a drone. If you have a low level temperature inversion, you're suddenly going to get a lot of updrafts, downdrafts, and wind shear. And that's not good for a drone. It's definitely not good for a plane with people inside. I learned a lot about other sources of information, and it kind of got me thinking. We talk so much about maps. For example, I was supposed to have that a little closer when I started the video. Anyway, you take a map like this, right? This is the map of Texas, and this one is I like this, the Rapid Routes Laminated Road Map. Now you'd think, well, I don't need a road map, right? I have my iPhone, I have my Android, until the internet goes down and then it's poop. Now you can print maps, which is great, and it's a good option too, right? It never hurts, but keep in mind you're going to use up a bunch of paper, do it double-sided. And then what do you do with it? Now you have a bunch of sheets of paper. Um, I like stuff like this, and I think where I'm going with this whole conversation is we need to start collecting reference material, whether it's medical stuff. I got engineering books back here, like out the wazoo. Actually, I got one right here, The Essentials of Modern Physics, which is an old book. And I know it's old because this was my undergrad and it's turning yellow on the outside. So that means I'm turning yellow on the outside because I'm getting old. Anyway, I'm just being stupid. But, it has a bunch of reference charts and tables in it. Now, obviously, the quantum speed of light, really not something you need on a day-to-day basis. But the mass of water might be good to know. The weight of water in pounds per gallon, something good to know, right? I know a 5 gallon, water weighs roughly 9 pounds per gallon. I'm rounding off there. So, a 5 gallon water jug is going to weigh roughly 45 pounds. So I'm a little off. I'm just going from memory here. But stuff like that, more pragmatic numbers, more pragmatic math, that down to earth kind of stuff, we kind of forget over time if you don't use it, right? Um, for instance, here, okay, well, yeah, never mind. Okay, like this one, conversions from Celsius to Fahrenheit, right? Obviously, you don't need like the quantum energy of a charge, right? You don't need, I don't even know what Planck's constant is used for anymore. I used to. Avogadro's number is a molar uh, molar quantity of molecular matter, which is, yeah, anyway, you don't need those numbers. But knowing water roughly 9 pounds per gallon, a good thing to know. Gasoline will last X amount in heat. Good thing to know. How quick does water evaporate? Good things to know. We all know water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius. Can you convert from one to the other? You know, I know that if I take a centigrade value, 20 degrees centigrade times 1.8, usually round up to 2. So 20 times 2 is 40 plus 32 gives me 72. So roughly 20 degrees centigrade is kind of in the low 70s Fahrenheit. It's not exact. I'm totally rounding off, but it's close enough for me to function properly. You kind of see what I'm saying? And this is where reference materials like maps, right? Do you know how to read a map? Most of the people who follow me are either outdoorsy and young, or they're older and grew up in a different generation, like I did. And we grew up with maps, right? As a matter of fact, remember you had to print the map. It would tell you this is the way you go, and then you had to print like 20 sheets, and then you inevitably dropped them on the floor during the road trip, and now your trip was screwed up because you didn't know if you were on page 7 or page 9. These come in really handy. Now, one of the things I do like about like the laminated trucker map is you can use a wax pencil or a crayon and draw on them. You can write. It also tends to give you some kind of, sometimes gives you the water. I don't know, Joe, sorry, you can't see that, but it gives you bodies of water, where there are rivers, where there are tributaries, where there are lakes. All of this stuff is really valuable. You can navigate with an iPhone, yes, and it will tell you where to go, but it won't give you a lot of that detail because it doesn't really care. It wants to get you from A to B. You want to go from Houston to Dallas, it's just going to tell you go up this road and be done. Having this kind of stuff, especially if you're on foot, you get rained on, it's laminated, chances are it's going to survive. So, among those things, here's another one. This is a from an oil and gas company, or manufacturing company, actually. And it's a bunch of tables. And I'm talking tables of the strengths of different metals. More importantly, uh, fluid volumes. If you have a cylinder of this amount, of this size, you can look in here and say, oh, I can pump so many gallons per minute through that size tube. Now, you may not think that's really important, but I'll tell you what, if you have to improvise and put a 5 horsepower pump in your pool to extract the water in a certain way, it would help to know what volume of water you can move. Now, again, I'm going into the weeds with some of this, right? I'm getting my engineer hat on, but having reference books like this, and it's not just for engineering, it's not just for math, it's not just for maps. Um, Farmer's Almanac, even if you have one that's a year old, it still gives you the general trends over the last however many years, right? How long has the Farmer's Almanac been around? Like 200 years, 100 years, something like that. That's pretty valuable information. You can look at an old Farmer's Almanac and kind of get the feeling, okay, my sunrise, sunset is going to be around here. My temperature, my precipitation, all valuable information. So, folks, if you're going to do anything, do some homework and get reference materials in hard copy, not digitally, unless you can print it out in some coherent way, and make those things handy, because you never know what's going to come up. Hell, it could just be a simple thing of, oh, my friend's basement flooded and I got to help him pump out the water. How long is it going to take with this pump and this hose size? To, holy cow, I'm lost in the middle of Texas, of all places, the state where it takes you 15 hours at highway speed to get from the east to the west of the state. It would be pretty damn good to know where waterways are, where the bridges are, where the towns are. And if the internet's out, you're kind of SOL unless you have something like this. So, folks, do some homework, get whatever reference materials you can that make sense. Now, I'm going to do a few more videos on reading the aerospace maps, the aviation maps, the weather maps. But for now, find those materials, put them in hard copy, or find them in hard copy, and go to bookstores, especially used book areas. I bet you can find them really cheap. Check Goodwill too. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you later on. I hope that was helpful, and you guys be safe out there.